Well, Rob Manfred and baseball finally did it. They finally came out in an attempt to crack down on foreign substances being used by pitchers, catchers, players in order to help with spin and doctoring baseballs. They have come out and they have taken a stance that if you are caught doing this, you are going to be suspended. Now, you're going to be suspended with pay. You're going to be suspended for 10 games, and your team cannot fill your spot on that roster. So, essentially, the 26th man, if you get suspended, your team will only be rocking 25 guys for that length of the suspension. So, it's a really interesting idea. The deeper you dive into it, it's crazy. It's a little insane. There's a better way that they could have handled this to stop the cheating, to stop the use of substances, but it looks like Major League Baseball went fully overboard. They dove deep into it, went head first, and a lot of people, including a lot of pitchers and players, are furious. They are super, super upset. You had Tyler Glasnow talking out about it, say this is the reason why I got injured. Jack Flaherty laughing about it. Trevor Bauer making fun of the rules. We'll go into all that in today's video, so if you're interested in seeing that, you like what you see here, make sure you drop a like on the video. It really does help support the channel, as well as subscribe if you have not yet done so. Click that sub button, join the team. Almost at 200k. Get in the comment section down below. Let me know what your opinion is on Major League Baseball's new rule about the sticky substance. Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Do you think it's too harsh? Think it's too lenient? What's your thoughts? Drop me a follow on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc. Link is in the description. And of course, if you want to buy any tickets to any sporting events, make sure to head on over to SeatGeek. Use the code Giraffe, save yourself $20 off your first purchase. So here's what the rule states. Rule 3.01 states that no player shall intentionally discolor or damage the ball by rubbing it with soil, rosin, paraffin, licorice, sandpaper, emery paper, or other foreign substance. Rule 6.02c expands on that rule by stating, among other things, that a pitcher may not apply a foreign substance of any kind to the ball, deface the ball in any manner, throw a shine ball, spitball, mud ball, or emery ball, have on his person or in his possession any foreign substance, or attach anything to his hand, any finger, or either wrist. Example, band-aid, tape, super glue, bracelet, etc. This is the new rule that's coming out to Major League Baseball. If you are caught doing this, 10-game suspension with pay, and your team loses that spot on the roster. So again, I said it earlier, you're the 26th man, you get suspended, your team's only rocking with 25 until you're back. So this is a super interesting rule. I made a video about this earlier in the week talking about pitchers cheating. That's obvious. Guys are using something in order to boost their spin rates, and this is how MLB is responding. They're going to allow umpires starting, I think, June 21st, after a pitcher ends an inning or is taken out of the game, they're allowed to examine their belt, their glove, their hand, their wrist, their hat. They're allowed to look at these pitchers. They're allowed to look at the catchers. Anyone that they suspect of trying to put a foreign substance on the baseball, they're allowed to take a look at them, inspect them, and see if there's anything there. And of course, if it is, you're getting that suspension. And that's huge. And this is coming at a time where baseball's on the precipice of possibly being in a strike next year because of the new CBA. This is causing Major League Baseball and the players unions, oh my God, it is going to be so ugly this offseason when they're negotiating the CBA, because something like this has the players extremely pissed off. And while I agree that cheating should be cut down in Major League Baseball, some of the stuff that they put in this memo to the players and teams is insane. I mean, we're talking about MLB telling players you can't wear sunscreen because there's a thought that if you wear sunscreen, you will be able to cheat. So let's talk about that now, because that's the next part here. I think the rule and the stopping of cheating is good. Where it gets crazy is this next portion. Players may not intentionally combine rosin with any substances, example sunscreen, to create additional tackiness, or they risk ejection and suspension. Pitchers have been advised not to apply sunscreen during night games after the sun has gone down or when playing in stadiums with closed roofs. To ensure standardization of rosin bag, clubs must submit the rosin bag along with the game balls to be reviewed by the umpires before the start of each game. This is crazy stuff. This is nuts. So you're not allowed to wear sunscreen if the sun's starting to go down. You're not allowed to wear sunscreen if you're inside the stadium. Yes, I think at the idea or at the base level, it makes sense, but this is crazy. This is some super crazy police martial law kind of stuff here a little bit. You can't wear sunscreen during night games. You can't wear sunscreens in stadiums with closed roofs, and teams have to send in the rosin bag and balls before games. You're gonna make them send in the rosin bag. I know the cheating had gotten a little bit out of hand. There were guys that were abusing this, but this feels crazy. I mean, this is what Jack Flaherty was laughing about. This is what former players like Dallas Braden was laughing about. Tyler Glasnow had something to say about it. News came out about him today. He has a partial tear, I believe, in his UCL. That's the ligament that you get Tommy John surgery on. One of the bright young stars in this game, one of the best pitchers, and he got it after his last start. And here's what he had to say.
I 100% believe that contributed to me getting hurt. No doubt, without a doubt. I think it's ridiculous. I have used sticky stuff before. It's ridiculous that it seems like this whole public perception of oh, it's just select few people. Your favorite pitcher probably 50 years ago was using something too. If you felt these balls, how inconsistent they were, you have to use something. So in the past, my substance of choice is sunscreen and rosin. Just nothing egregious, something to where I can get a grip on the ball so it doesn't feel dusty. But 2 starts ago against the Nationals, I went cold turkey, nothing. And before that start, I remember when all this stuff came out, I was talking to people and talking to doctors, and they were like, the thing that maybe MLB doesn't realize or that players don't realize is what what is the injury? What is the prevention of, like, maybe it'll add to injuries? And in my mind, I was like, that sounds dumb. That sounds like an excuse a player would use to make sure he can use sticky stuff. But I threw to the Nationals with nothing. I don't use sticky stuff I don't use spider tack. I don't need more spin. I have huge hands. I spin the ball fine. I want grip. I did well against the Nationals, probably one of the best starts I had all year. I woke up the next day and was like, I am sore in places that I didn't even know I had muscles in. Like, I felt completely different. I switched my fastball grip and my curveball grip. I've thrown it the same way for however many years I played baseball. I had to put my fastball deeper into my hand and grip it way harder. And I had to, instead of holding my curveball at the tip of my fingers, I had to dig it deeper into my hand. So I'm like choking the shit out of all my pitches. My cue I used to use with Snyder was hold the ball like an egg, like nice and loose, be loose. That's out of the window. So I now have to develop a new cue. I have to develop something where I can't hold the ball light anymore. I have to dig it deep into my hand. So I'm taking it, and you have to think, I'm not a doctor. I know you guys probably know that, but I'm taking a fastball. I'm squeezing the ball twice as hard. So all of this is, I'm recruiting all these muscles, and I'm taking my arm as hard as I can, throwing the ball. So I'm going from like a flexed muscle to letting a ball go. And like I said, I was like, maybe it's not going to, I don't think it'll lead to any injuries. But waking up after that start, I was like, okay, this sucks. Something is weird here. And then that same feeling is persisting all week long. And then I go into my start yesterday, and that same feeling just, it pops, or whatever the hell happened to my elbow. Like, I feel it. Something happens.
Tyler Glasnow is essentially blaming the injury due to the fact that he wasn't allowed to use some sort of substance, which he is claiming is going to be sunscreen and rosin together in order to get a better grip. He talks about how he pitched 80 innings on the season. He had no issues whatsoever. His arm felt great, and as soon as he had to stop, he had to work to get more grip, pitch a little bit differently, and it caused an issue with his elbow. And a lot of people around the league are saying that this is a legitimate fear. They're worried that pitchers are going to have to change the way that they pitch, and this could possibly lead to more injuries. A lot of guys are super upset that this didn't happen at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. They let pitchers go 80, 90, 60, 70 innings so far this season without anything, and then all of a sudden they're dropping the hammer. Like, yes, players shouldn't have been cheating in the first place, but you can understand why a guy like Tyler Glasnow would be so upset about this, because this is directly affecting his game. This is affecting his health. This is affecting his next paycheck. A guy like him getting a UCL sprain, it's eventually probably going to lead to Tommy John. They're not saying it is just yet. He's going to try to rehab to avoid getting the surgery, but when you have a partial tear even in your UCL, it becomes a lot more likely that that ligament is going to tear. You're going to have to get Tommy John. You're out for at least a year. A guy like Tyler Glasnow, who's one of the bright young stars of the game, doesn't want to sit any bound of time, let alone because of Tommy John, and let alone because he wasn't able to use sunscreen and rosin. That's the thing that a lot of players have been talking about that they've been using. They don't use it to get more rips, to get more RPM on the ball. They talk about it's more about control and getting that grip as opposed to trying to get more movement. Tyler Glasnow said it himself. You saw Mike Schilt, the Cardinals manager, a month ago, I think at this point, talk about the sunscreen and rosin that everybody's using. That's probably what most guys were using in the game. It does give you a nice grip, but it's not anything that's supposed to be crazy with RPMs. But still, I guess technically under the rules, you are using some sort of substance to get a grip. So I don't know. It's really, really tough. Like, I don't want to see guys get hurt. I also don't want to see pitchers cheating. I want to see baseball played at its purest. But it's hard to side with MLB when they're starting to get so crazy specific in the middle of the season. Like, oh, this is so tough. And then you had Trevor Bauer, who dropped a video on Twitter today that broke Twitter a little bit. People were freaking out. It was a video of him taking a baseball, asking MLB if this is illegal. So he was literally holding the baseball like this, and it was stuck to it. And he wanted to know if people thought this was legal or illegal. He asked a poll. Most people said it was legal. It ended up being like a trick question because the only thing that he claims to have been using there was a mixture of rosin and sweat. Perspiration, the water that comes out of your body when you get hot. So he's saying that with rosin and sweat, you can get that kind of stickiness on the ball. So is that going to be misinterpreted? How are umpires or anybody who's looking at this going to know if it's just rosin and sweat, or if there's sunscreen involved, or if there's spider tack, or if there's some sort of glue or pelican wax? There's so many different ways that this could go. It seems like MLB's opened up a can of worms that could become very, very dangerous. And it just leads me to the question of, why does Major League Baseball, why are they obsessed with airing their dirty laundry out to everybody? This seems like something that could have been handled internally, could have been handled in a better way. It seems like they tried that, but then they screwed up that part. Like steroids. They sold out everybody during the steroid movement when that was like one of the best times in Major League Baseball's history for attendance, viewership, everything. Now they're doing it with the pitchers. Like, yes, we've known the pitchers have been cheating for years. Sunscreen and rosin is not a new thing. This was around forever. It's the guys using spider tack and all that should really be punished. That's the real problem here. And Major League Baseball is like, hey, you know how there's an issue here? Well, we're going to make it an even bigger issue now by taking everybody down with this. We're going to stop the game. We're going to cause pace of play issues, which Rob Manfred is normally obsessed about, loves getting the games over as quick as possible, even though he hasn't been able to really do that. These checks and stuff, I feel like is going to slow down the game. People are worried about player safety, saying if pitchers don't have control, they're going to hit more batters and that could cause some issues. Yet to be seen. One thing is for sure, this is probably going to boost offense, which is always a great thing. You want to see more offense being boosted. Pitchers not being able to have the grip, not being able to use any sort of substance is going to help the bats, and we're seeing all-time lows at the plate this year from Major League Baseball teams and players. So that will be one positive that comes comes out of this, but it's really, really hard to take a side here. Like, I want the players to stop cheating, but I also don't want them to get hurt because in the middle of the season, Major League Baseball did a 180 and flipped the rules on them. And this is going to lead to what's going to be a huge problem during this next offseason during the collective bargaining agreement. The CBA negotiations is between the Players Union and MLB. They are going to be going at each other's throats, and we are in danger of going into a lockout, a strike. There's a very good chance that these two sides don't come together, and something like this is only pushing the players and the owners further and further and further away. This is something that is going to cause turmoil. It's going to cause trouble, and it's terrifying me because I am loving that baseball's back. Last year when we only got 60 games, that was fun, but it stunk. This year we've already got 60, we have 100 left. I'm so excited for the rest of the season. I can't imagine a world where baseball isn't being played, and there's a chance that this, on top of all the other issues that are going to go into the CBA negotiations, is going to cause a lockout. Some hitters are happy for sure because you're getting the guys who are using spider tack out of there, but the pitchers are upset. That's a big part of the Players Association. This is going to cause trouble. Now, I think it's interesting to note and talk about Eric Sim, the king of JUCO, did a video going over spin rates using substances, and there's definitely an advantage to using substances. I don't think anyone denied it, but you can get actual numbers to it from the way he was throwing. Really good video. I'm going to link in the description, but I'm also going to show you some screenshots, show you some clips, and give, of course, all the credit in the world to Eric. Go sub to his channel. So with no substance, his average RPM was 1907. Sunscreen and rosin, it went up 100 to 2072. Pine tar, 2266. That is a huge jump. That's basically 300 RPM. Pelican wax, 2128. Spider tack was the highest at 2278. It's clear and obvious that these substances do make a difference. Sunscreen and rosin shouldn't be legal. Everyone was using it. I don't know. It depends where you stand on that. I was okay with it if everybody's using it, but also at the same time, let's just not. I completely understand it. It's kind of the same thing as steroids. Everybody's using it, so you have to do it to stay even, but also how about nobody uses it so no one has to break rules and cheat? It's a super sticky situation. No pun intended. I actually didn't mean to say that, but it's clear and obvious that this is going to be a problem. It's going to be interesting how this plays off, and starting June 21st, MLB is cracking down. Players are going to get suspended. There's going to be somebody. I think it's a guarantee that we at least see one player get suspended for this. I don't know who it's going to be. It might be Trevor Bauer because the witch hunt's always out for him. It might be Garrett Cole. It might be JP Fire Eyes, someone we have no clue about. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see how this plays out on June 21st and the rest of the season. But really, at the end of the day, Major League Baseball had a way to handle this problem and didn't handle it the best possible way. Injuries, player safety, all that could be in jeopardy, as well as the quality of the game. I don't know. It's so tough. I really want to know your guys' opinion on this. Just like in the last video, I want to know what you're thinking down in the comment section below. Do you think this is a good rule by MLB? Do you think they could have handled it differently? What are you thinking in your brain? Drop a like on the video if you do enjoy it, as well as subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the content coming at you. Make sure to drop me a follow on all my social media, GiraffeNeckMarc, as well as check out my Mets podcast, the Mets Up podcast, link to everything in the description, as well as to Eric Sim's channel for the video that I was mentioning. That's where I'm going to wrap up today's video. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload. Click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for another video. Bye.